Hello, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be adding some more drums and percussive elements to our track. Right now, we just have a standard hi-hat and snare, which really doesn't make for anything exciting. What I want to do here is find some elements that really help enhance what I already have and take the track to the next level. I'm going to start with some little treatments first. I'm going to bounce down my snare and reverse it to give my snare a bit of pre-snare sound, so it sounds like there's something kind of sucking into the snare. It's a pretty common technique. So let's go ahead and get that going. So I'm going to grab my snare here, and the easiest way to do this here for me, I just duplicate it, and then I'll freeze the new one, and then just flatten it, and that just pretty much gives our gives us a new channel with the snare bounced down to audio. And then I only need one of these, so I'm just going to take one, consolidate it. And let's go ahead and reverse that one. There we go. All right, so let's put this here and put one here. And let's loop that. Pretty standard treatment there. And then what I think I'll do is just kind of back off on this just a little bit. And I put a little bit of a fade here because at the moment, the two of them together were just kind of sounding like one piece, and I wasn't really getting that hit on the front of the snare, so I've just kind of backed off on the back side of this reverse here. Okay, let's see how that sounds with what we've got going on here. So we'll just loop what we have here. So right now, I think there's probably too many of them. I'm not going to have it hit on the 2 and the 4. I think what I'll do is I'll just have it on the very last snare. It's kind of like a accent there on the 4th snare of the 2nd bar. And since on this last phrase here, we've just got a like a snare fill, we really don't need to, we're not going to put that one there. Okay, cool. So there, we've got that. Let's give it a little bit of reverb. And for that, I'm just going to use the stock reverb on channel A here. Again, we'll solo. And maybe down a little bit. That sounds good. And while we're at it, let's add some snare to our, let's add some reverb to our main snare. I'm going to use the Valhalla reverb that we've got on channel C. There, not too much, just some slight reverb there. Okay, let's have a listen. Okay, cool. So the next thing I want to do is I want to thicken up my snares a little bit more, and the way I'm going to do that is by, of course, adding another snare. I'm going to add a new MIDI channel here, and I'm going to load up a drum kit from the Sonic Academy Ultimate Drums 2, which I've got pre-installed into my user library here. Presets, drum rack, and here they are. Let's just start with one of these Techno kits. We'll go Techno Kit 2. And we'll get our MIDI clip. Actually, we don't even need to do MIDI clip. We'll just grab this one. There we go. And what I basically want to do is just build up the very last snare on each bar. So let's have a listen to these snares here. Let's see, there's one here. And one here. Let's do that one. All right, let's have a listen. There we go. And it just kind of gives a little bit of different tonality to that last snare in the phrase, which I think is nice. And let's give this one some reverb as well. All right, let's slap an EQ on here and start shaping this thing. And again, we don't need that last snare in that phrase right there, so let's do this. Okay, I think that'll do it for now. So let's move on to our next part. And what I'm going to do here is show you another little trick I like to do, and it's in the vein of using loops. And you know, sometimes what I like to do is just use pieces of loops also to add emphasis to my groove. So earlier when I was browsing through the some of these Sonic Academy packs. Let's see here, in the Ultimate Drums 2 section, there's some loops in here. So what I want to do is run through some of these loops and see if I can't hear something in the loop that I know would also add some emphasis to the drum pattern that I have going on here so far. So just like before, when we were cycling through the snare sounds, I'm just going to run what we have here and cycle through some of these loops that we've got going on over here. So let's go in here and we'll go. Got our loop. Okay, I'm going to turn the Q down because I bet that's going to be really loud. Okay, let's try this. That's pretty cool, but if I grab that, then, you know, again, I'm just, you know, using a loop here. That does sound pretty good with it though, doesn't it? Okay, let's keep looking. Okay, so I think I hear something in here I like, so... Oh, not a MIDI channel. Let's get ourselves an audio channel here. Let's grab this. And what I hear is this last little phrase right here. Okay, let's see here. Let's get an EQ on this. Always EQ. No, let's move that. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. So it's got this little pre-part that kind of like, you know, kind of gives way to slam down on this this little hit here. Okay, cool. Let's cut off some of the highs, so we don't need all that. All right, we'll get it turned down. And again, it's just, you know, when you're adding these little bits, these little like detailed bits like this, you know, you don't have to have them like just completely, you know, crazy standing out in the mix. They can just be kind of like a neat little accent that kind of helps build your groove. All right, I think that sounds pretty good. And I think what we're going to do here is we're going to do something a little bit more creative. What I'm going to do is I want to send some of this to one of my send channels over here, but I don't want to send the whole thing. So I want to send just this last part, that last hit of this little phrase. So let's click on our send here, and I've got the part that I want to send, and I'm going to turn that all the way up. Let's see how that sounds just soloed. Yeah. Cool, now let's see how that sounds. Yeah, that's really cool. And we'll leave the volume. Cool. So there we go. Grabbed a loop, used a little piece of it that fits in. Sounds good. Let's go ahead and duplicate that. All right, then let's move on. Let's go ahead and delete these. We don't need all that from the reverse. Okay, that's sounding pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is earlier when we had our project session build, we added machine. And I really love machine. I know a lot of people use it in their productions, and I tend to use it a little bit differently. And it really is kind of like one of my, really one of my secret weapons in my productions. And I'm going to show you the way that I use it. And since we're here and we've got our audio effects open, let's go ahead and drop an EQ on here because we EQ everything, right? Okay, so I'm going to get machine open here and basically give you a rundown on how I use it, because we still have plenty of room in our groove here to add a little bit more percussive elements and whatnot. But now that I've got my main ones, now that I've got my main instruments, I can kind of like start really looking for something, you know, really creative and unique. And what I like to do is make this a little bit bigger so I can see it, because I'm blind. Okay, and machine, if you're not a Native Instruments fan or familiar with their products, Machine is basically a like a drum machine groove studio, and one of the neat things about it is they've got these machine packs that they sell on their site, and the packs come with drum kits and patterns and these things over here. What are these? They even come with project files, like full-on, songs. But the way that I use it is I'll go to one of these packs here, and I'll load up a drum kit which comes with quite a few patterns. So like if I load up this kit here, and let's go solo it. I practically have enough from just this kit here to write a track all on its own. I could literally, you've got enough elements here to really just start, going for it. So what I like to do is just browse through these kits and really tailor these kits to make it mine, depending on the track that I'm working on, and what kit fits that, vibe that I've got going on. So now that I've got Machine soloed, I'm just going to browse through a few of these kits and see if I don't hear something that I think would complement the groove that we have. Okay, so let's do that. Definitely not that one. All right, that's pretty cool. So let's mute some of these elements here and see if this would work with the track. And then, even before I even play it with the track, I'll play it with the percussive elements that we have and see if that even works. Let's see. So let's solo what we've got going on here. Is our hi-hat in here? Where'd that hi-hat go? There it is. That's cool, but it's a little bit too bass heavy for me. Let's try this cone kit here. No. Not bad. Let's try this one. Turn the kick off. Turn off this closed hat here. And we don't need another kick in here. So I like this. I like that kick that was in there actually, but let's turn it down a little bit. Okay, cool. I like that. I think that'll work. So again, we'll just drop down to the EQ and get that taken care of. We don't need the low lows in here. And there's a lot of activity right around here, so I'm just going to kind of duck that down a little bit. Let's see how that sounds with the kick. Okay, so I hear something. So there's definitely some, mid and low end heavy stuff happening in here, and I've cut some of it out, but I like that tonality that's happening around there. So what I'm going to do is put a side chain on it, and we'll go over to our LFO tool, and that way we just kind of give it a little bit of a bounce with the track. volume turned down a little bit. Let's have a listen to that. Okay, cool. So you can hear it's kind of ducking some of the elements that we've brought in. All right. Now that we've got quite a few drum elements happening in the track, what I'd like to do here is just go ahead and group those elements. So that way when I solo, I don't have to keep soloing every single channel. I can just solo the group and listen to all of them at the same time. So let's get all of our, let's see, we've got snare. There's our Techno kit. The pre-snare. Let's go ahead and get these labeled too. I'm just going to go ahead and drag this one up here. Look at that pre-snare. We'll just call this weight snare. And then rather than have this block not being extended all the way, let's just go ahead and we'll mute that last note. And that way that block is easier for us to drag when we copy and paste. You know what though? Let me go ahead and turn that back on. I'm just going to mute it as we need it. I'll just mute it because I can see here we're going to need that the weight because the snare doesn't. Well, does it? Let me take a look here. Yeah, see, that's going to fall right there. Let's see here. Okay, so this one, there's no snare on that fourth beat. So we're just going to have to mute those manually. So what I'll do is just highlight it, separate it, and we'll just deactivate that part of the clip. There, I'm happy with that. Okay, here's that atmosphere that we did earlier. Let's go ahead and copy that over and get this whole thing going. And that. Let's go ahead and highlight that. We don't need these. Let's delete those. Same thing here. Okay, what were we doing? Oh yeah, we were grouping. All right, let's see here. So snare, pre-snare, there's the weight. Got a little bit of emphasis in the hi-hat. So I'm just gonna Command G here and group. And we'll just say drums, because those are our drums. And we're gonna drag machine in here. I'll just drag it up to the top. Now, for some people, as we're moving along and writing, there's no data in here. We're literally just, playing machine. So when we want to cut this out of the track, when we don't want to have machine playing, we're just going to automate the on and off button on the channel here. Okay, so let's see how our drums are sounding now. Okay, cool. That's sounding really good. I'm liking that. The drums are sounding a little bit more full. There's a little bit more activity happening. It's not just a snare and hi-hat, which would definitely bore anyone on the dance floor. So this has a little bit more stuff to grab onto. Let's see how it's sounding with the rest of the track. Sweet. I really love this this new machine kit that we brought in here and have playing. So one thing I'm noticing is this little bit here that we brought in from the loop. It's cool, but it doesn't need to play so often. And I think that one of the things that I see young producers doing when they're writing a track is, they'll add like little bits and pieces, but they, just overemphasize it by, having it play too often in the track. So let's thin this out a little bit. I'm just going to get rid of the last ones here. And let's get this named. I'm just going to call this emphasis. All right. Let's try that. Okay, very, very, very cool. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do here in this video is add one more drum part. And I always like to call this, adding some heat to the track. And what we want to do is find something that really lifts the track up and gives it that feel of, going a bit faster. So maybe when it breaks down or it drops after the break, depending on which direction we take the track, something that lets the audience know, hey, this is the most exciting part of the track. What I like to call like the meat and potatoes of the track, or when the track is like really going off. And what I want to look for is, something with like a 16th note pattern, probably a shuffle or a hi-hat or a shaker, just something to really, set the track off. So we'll just go for a loop to do that. I'm going to add another audio channel and go browsing. So we'll head over here to the Sonic Academy folder and let's try this. Let's try the Audentity. Is that how you say that? Audentity or Audentity? I don't know. Anyway, it says Dark Techno. It's the folder I want. So we're going to go in here, and what we're looking for is definitely a percussive loop or a top loop. Let's try the top loops. So I know what I'm looking for. So rather than even playing it with the track, let's just cycle through some of these until I hear something that I know is going to work. No, I like that. We could definitely take that, bring it over, and start cutting it up and making it our own, and turn it. We could definitely make a loop out of that. But rather than do that, let's see if we can find something that quote unquote just works. Okay, something like that might work. So I'm just going to bring it over here. That can be a contender. Okay, that might work. So we'll just bring that in. So I love this one, but I don't like the click. And all of these that we've heard here, let's get these turned down. So that one and that one, all of these are going to have some work to do. So I think what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and use this one and cut it up and make it my own. So let's just get after it. Let's see here. Okay, I don't like that. So let's get rid of that. And there's a little bit at the front of that. You can see that right there. So let's go ahead and pull that back, and let's drop a fade on it just to be safe. So we got some fades. We're going to need our fades anyway. Let's pull this in. No, that's where that click is, isn't it? So it's going to leave it a bit empty. So we're going to have to cut something from this loop to fill in that space right there. But at least let's take the clips out for now, or the click, not clip. Well, clips and clicks to be precise. Okay, so same thing here. And just cut that off. Let's work with this. So let's try dragging this part here in here. Oh wait, copy it. Don't just move it, copy it, folks. Okay, it's getting there, but not quite. Let's move this one here. Let's try this. Okay, I think that might work. All right. And let's see how that sounds with the drums. Sounds good to me. Let's glue it rather than have all these cut up pieces though. Let's go ahead and glue this together. And again, another example of, if you're going to use a loop, you can definitely cut it up, slice it, and make it your own, which I think is always a good thing to do rather than just using a straight loop. But, to each his own. Okay, so let's see how it sounds with the track. Is it going off? Sounds like it's going off to me. Let's get rid of these ones that we're not using. And let's rename our channel. We'll just call it Heat. Bring in the heat, yo. Okay, with that, we are pretty much done with this session. We've added some more drum elements to thicken up our groove. And I think we've got a pretty fat groove going on here. Let's go ahead and... Okay, cool. Doesn't need to be that loud. Let's bring it down. Way too loud. Okay, sounding really good. Let's go ahead and conclude this video, and I will see you next time. Thank you.